One of the most prolific actors turned directors working today is none other than Ben Affleck, and this time he steps in front of the camera for George Clooney. This is my review of The Tender Bar. JR is a fatherless boy growing up in Long Island, where his uncle Charlie is a bartender. Throughout his life, JR begins to pursue romantic and professional dreams, but one foot seems to constantly always be set in his uncle Charlie's bar. But before I properly start with my review, I want to know your thoughts on The Tender Bar. Are you excited? What is your favorite George Clooney directed film? Anything and everything down there in the comments below. Just start the conversation. It's always the most important part. And if you like movies and TV, this is the place to be, so make sure you consider clicking that subscribe button if you enjoy what you see here. George Clooney, for me, to start us off, is a very inconsistent director. He's always competent, he's always very professionally made, his productions are always lush, there's always clearly a lot of money, professionalism, and competence in them behind the camera. I just don't think he's the best storyteller out there. I really love The Ides of March and Good Night and Good Luck, and that's it. But one thing that he always nails is performance. As an actor himself, he's naturally someone who can get great performances out of actors, and Ben Affleck is a clear proof of that once again. He delivers one of his best performances in years in a very supporting role, a very pivotal role to the story. He exudes such charisma and charm throughout this film that the film is told through the perspective of this boy who constantly looks up to his uncle as the closest thing he ever has to a father figure, and I think that really works, and that relationship between the nephew and the uncle is the strongest thing this film has going for it. It's very rich, it's very well developed, and it's always compelling. Whereas everything else, much like the films of George Clooney in general, is very competent. There are good ideas in this, it's a fine watch. I was just never that compelled by everything else the kid was doing, except whenever we were in those moments with the uncle and the nephew. And that is because JR, played very well by Tye Sheridan, he's just not a very interesting character. The film presents his perspective, his worldview so well that everything around him is interesting. His family is interesting. With Lily Rabe, who plays his mother, she's going through this disease, so he has to add that worry and that pressure, and he has to add that into his life. His grandfather, who's slowly throughout the years losing it a little bit more, played by Christopher Lloyd, who's fantastic. His uncle, who constantly encourages him and is always there for him when he needs them. His friends, who all have these interesting dreams and ideas that naturally we never explore, but it gives them a bit of personality. Even his relationships, everything around him is interesting, but despite the good performance Tye Sheridan gives, he's just never an interesting character. I was always interested in what is happening to him, in what is happening around him, but he himself is not someone I particularly care about by the end of the film, unfortunately. I also thought the film in general looks very flat. It has a very good use of color, but because it mixes all these colors and tones of color so well, when you watch the film, you get what I'm saying. Everything just blends in a bit too much, like characters' clothes with the wallpaper in the background. It just doesn't let you see the dimensions of characters when they're in front of the camera, which was very weird. The Tender Bar hangs on the warm and welcoming charisma of Ben Affleck, but the more it goes on, the further we distance ourselves from that which is the best part of the film. It's not a story we haven't seen before, it's not being told in a way we haven't seen before, and the longer it goes, the duller, unfortunately, it becomes. It's perfectly fine to have it on, but you're barely going to remember it in the long run. I'm giving The Tender Bar a C. But those are my thoughts on The Tender Bar. I want to know what you think of it. If you're excited, if you've seen it, drop it all down there. And if you like movies and TV and you like what you saw here, click the subscribe button and you won't miss any future conversation on your favorite movies and TV. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back very soon with Nightmare Alley reviews, Spider-Man No Way Home reviews, The Kingsman reviews, and Licorice Pizza. We are on the cusp of the end of the year, and I hope to see you in all those videos. And so until the next one, love each other and love the movies.